So what you're looking at here is a U.S. aircraft carrier. It's a massive symbol of global power, basically a floating airbase. And for any potential enemy, it is the #1 target on the entire planet. Today, we're going to peel back the layers and see exactly how this thing defends itself. And that right there leads to a huge question. I mean, how do you actually defend a $13 billion floating city? A city that's home to over 5,000 people and 90 aircrafts, all while it's operating in some of the most dangerous waters on Earth. So, let's break it down.
Okay, first things first, you have to understand the stakes. See, a carrier isn't just a ship. For all intents and purposes, it is American territory, just mobile. It's a tool for projecting power literally anywhere in the world, which of course makes it the ultimate target. Defending it is one of the most critical challenges in modern warfare.
So, how does the U.S. Navy do it? Well, they use a strategy called defense in depth. And the best way to think about it is like an onion. Seriously. It's a multi-layered shield designed to detect, track, and destroy threats at ever-decreasing ranges, starting hundreds of miles out and ending just feet from the ship itself. All right, so let's get into it and peel back these layers. We're going to start with the longest range layer, the air wing. Then we'll move in closer to the Guardian fleet. After that, we dive into the invisible battle of electronic warfare, and we'll finish up with the last-ditch point defense systems. Okay, let's start with that first layer, the long-range shield. The whole idea here is super simple. Stop a fight before it even thinks about getting close to the carrier. And this, right here, really gets to the core of their thinking. The carrier's greatest defense is actually its greatest offense, its own air wing. The battle begins way up in the sky, often hundreds of miles away. So within that air wing, you've basically got two key players. First, you have the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye. This thing is, for all intents and purposes, the eyes of the fleet. Its giant radar dome flies high above the battle group, detecting threats from huge distances. Then it directs the fists of the fleet, the F/A-18 Super Hornets and the F-35s, to go out and take care of business. It all boils down to this really simple but honestly brilliant analogy. Think about it. Why waste all your energy trying to swat every single arrow out of the sky? Instead, you just take out the archer, the enemy ship or plane, before it even gets a chance to fire. You neutralize the platform, you neutralize the threat. Simple as that. But of course, a carrier never ever travels alone. So if a threat somehow manages to sneak past that outer shield of fighter jets, it runs smack into the second layer, the Guardian escorts. We're talking about the full carrier strike group, a whole formation of advanced cruisers, destroyers, and yeah, there's even a nuclear-powered submarine hunting silently down below. And the absolute heart of this Guardian fleet is something called the Aegis combat system. This thing is a beast. It's a networked system that can track over 100 targets at the same time. And from there, it can launch a whole family of missiles, each one designed for a specific job. The SM-6 for things like aircraft and sea-skimming cruise missiles, and the incredible SM-3, which can actually reach into space to take out ballistic missiles. Okay, but here's the thing. Not all threats are physical projectiles you can just shoot down. The next layer of defense, well, it takes place on a battlefield you can't even see. This is the war of waves, the fight to control the electromagnetic spectrum.
And this is where some really specialized planes like the EA-18G Growler come into play. Now, this plane is cool. It doesn't shoot missiles. It shoots electrons. It blasts out incredibly powerful jamming signals that can blind enemy radar, making the entire strike group either disappear completely or look like a chaotic mess of false targets on their screen.
And that whole idea introduces a really important concept, the difference between a hard kill and a soft kill. A hard kill is what we've been talking about mostly, physically blowing up a threat with a missile or a bullet. A soft kill, though, is way more subtle. It's all about tricking or disabling a threat, using things like jamming or decoys to make it miss completely. And you bet the carrier itself has its own powerful soft kill systems, like the Surface Electronic Warfare Improvement Program, or SWIP. It can detect the radar signal from an incoming missile and either jam it with its own signal, or it can launch a Nulka decoy. This is a little rocket that flies out and perfectly mimics the carrier's radar signature. It's basically screaming, "Hey, over here, I'm the real target," to lure that missile harmlessly away into the ocean. But what if? What if a missile is so sophisticated, it gets through the air wing, it evades the Guardian fleet, and it cuts right through all the electronic jamming? We're talking the final heart-stopping seconds now, and the carrier itself has become the very last line of defense.
And for that exact moment, it has its own last-ditch arsenal. At medium range, it's got the evolved SeaSparrow missile, or ESSM, designed to take out highly maneuverable targets. If that fails, at short range, it's the Rolling Airframe Missile, or RAM, which is a supersonic quick reaction weapon. And if somehow a threat gets past even that, well, there's one final resort.
4,500.
What is that? That's the number of 20mm tungsten rounds the Phalanx close-in weapon system can fire in a single minute. They call it R2-D2, and its only job is to throw up a literal wall of lead in the final seconds of a missile's flight, hoping to shred it into tiny, harmless pieces just before it hits.
But look, defense isn't just about stopping every single thing from hitting you. It's also about being able to take a punch. And that's why the carrier is an evolving fortress, designed not just to defend, but to survive and adapt to whatever the future throws at it. And that survival depends on a whole bunch of things working together. Against torpedoes, you've got decoys, like the Nixie. The ship itself is built tough, with a double hull and thousands of watertight compartments. And maybe most importantly, you've got the human element. Thousands of highly trained damage control sailors ready to fight fires and patch holes at a moment's notice. And of course, looking to the future, there are things like directed energy.
Because, let's face it, the nature of war is always changing. New, cheaper threats like swarms of attack drones demand totally new kinds of defenses. And that's where directed energy weapons, lasers, come in. Think about it. As long as you have power, a laser has, well, a virtually bottomless magazine, which is perfect for taking on dozens of small, fast targets.
And all of this, every single layer we've talked about, brings us to the main takeaway. A carrier's survival doesn't come down to one single powerful gun. No, it relies on a massive, deeply interconnected and layered system of systems, where every single piece supports the whole thing to create a defense that is incredibly tough to beat.
So yeah, this incredible system of systems definitely works today, but it leaves us with a huge and pretty urgent question for the future. In an age where adversaries are developing hypersonic weapons, missiles that fly at 5, 10, even 15 times the speed of sound, can this floating fortress, this incredible machine, evolve fast enough to meet the threats of tomorrow?